Thunder, like you've never imagined.
Fahrt vorsichtig.
Good morning, welcome back to American Truck Simulator. This is David Steele and here's my truck for today's ride. This is a short wheelbase Western Star 49X and I'm just going to go ahead and get the windows shut here. I got a bit of a trek here today, hauling a crane. We're doing some work for the oil industry here in Texas. What a beautiful morning this is so far. That's really something. Anyway, so today we're in a pretty base spec 49X. Actually, let's go ahead and make sure I connect the trailer and numpty. There we go. That's much better. In fact, you know what? Let's just take a quick look at the truck before we go anywhere. So, yes, it's a day cab. It's got the mighty mammoth paint job. I'm going to straighten my steering here. The concessions we've got to luxuries on this thing would be we've got the optional headlights that have got the heater elements, so if it ever gets icy you can defrost them. LED headlights are standard. They do not produce very much heat at all, so if your lights get iced over or snowed or something like that, they are not going to defrost with the headlights, as halogen bulbs will. You've got some beacons on the top and some air horns. Other than that, though, this is pretty much as basic as it gets. Yes, we've got the aluminium side. The battery box there is under the passenger seat. It's two small tanks. We do have, gosh, what are they called? It's that thing on the back of the cabin called. I've completely forgotten it, but we've got the logging equipment set up, or together with the towable bumper. Good grief, that has completely escaped me what that's actually called. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump in the cabin before I embarrass myself even more. We have a Cummins X12 efficiency under the hood today, and the 49X is one of the fewer trucks, there aren't many, that have this as a factory option, or at least it's an accessed factory option. And that's interesting because, I mean, the X12, at least on paper, has this should be a great engine, or a decent engine, I should say. You've got Cummins infrastructure and expertise backed up by a fairly small capacity engine that can be rated for over 500 horsepower. I'm using a 10-speed manual today. This is configured as an 8 low or 8A, 8AL, I believe it's called. Basically, it's an 8-speed with a couple of extra low gears. Superb for vocational duties, or in this case hauling a very heavy crane out of a oil and gas industry installation. Slow moving vehicle on the right, need to worry about that. Oh, that's a gloomy looking sky. I'll go ahead and take it steady moving out of here. I don't think my engine's quite up to temperature yet. Check that though, I think I can. Oops. Let's see, do I show oil temperature in here? I think so. No, I guess I don't. Alright, well, fair enough. My coolant is halfway normal, so it's good enough for me. Yes, so we're shifting ourselves today. That's going to make this trip a little interesting. It's quite a longish one, 300 miles, or at least 300 miles with only 350 horsepower. Did I mention that? No. Well, there we go. It's a entry-level X12 efficiency, so 1350 foot-pounds of torque, 350 horsepower. Not a great deal. Go ahead and get my cruise on. I'm going to set my speed at 65, and that's going to be about 1500 revs. It's reasonably short gearing today. It's a direct drive with a 285 final drive, the same spec as the standard 10-speed ultra shift that comes in the game. Go ahead and kill my cruise. I can just coast up to this stop. Is it a stop or is it a light? I'm not sure. We'll find out. But a bit of vocational spec trucking never did anyone any harm. Theory, anyway.
Demnächst links abbiegen.
I'm turning left up here. We know. Yeah, it's a stop sign. Oh, it's a stop over a major highway. Possibly go wrong. It's a long trailer too. It's a long trailer without... Oh, it says one way. And yet that looks like we're actually able to... I don't know. I don't really feel like turning around. Oh, that's very confusing, Texas. Why have you done this? One way... Oh, okay, I think I know what that means. Well, I really don't want to be straddling this highway with this super long cargo if I can help it. But I'm just going to have to go for it. Oh, look at that. I managed to time that just right. Okay. So the X12 is one of my favourite engines. In fact, it's the engine that got me into building an engine pack, because I hadn't found a suitable engine pack that had an X12 in it. An X12 that I really trusted, that the definition was accurate. So I made my own. It's an interesting choice for a manual because it does not have a 2100 RPM governor. I think this one is 1800. And that means that with just 10 speeds, you're going to be shifting gear quite a lot, and you don't have the flexibility to climb a hill and keep it in the lower gear. You need to change up. But let's see, this is 1700 revs. Let's see if it hits 1800, if it just peters out. Yes, it does. Alright, let's go ahead and go for 7th. So, those epically long hills that Texas is not famous for, is the sort of thing where actually, you know, it's a bit of a compromise. Where this transmission really shines is if I have to pull this cargo up a pretty steep, twisty road, and I need the extra control of low ratios. That's where this transmission really comes into its own. But that's not something I don't think we'll be doing much of today. What we may be doing is grinding through the gears up a gradient like this, which is not the steepest gradient, and we're struggling with downshift. Peak torque is produced just over 1000 revs in this engine. It actually copes with 7th gear pretty nicely, but I think the road's flattened off, so it's not really fair. But yeah, I started to use the Western Star brand a bit more when I created the new profile. I ended up buying a 5700 XE because it was a bargain used truck, and lo and behold, really kind of enjoyed how the truck felt and looked. The 49X is more of a vocational truck that can do line haul, and that's an interesting take on I think on the truck. So this machine is very much geared for vocational duties, or very much set up for that. We've got the heavy duty extra wide tyres. Let's see if I can show you that. You see that they can't really see the width of them there. Now, we could do this. Yeah, you'll have to take my word for it that they are extra wide, and that gives you less pressure on the road if it's a soft road surface, or indeed, depending on the requirements of the local legislation, you may need the wider tyres for heavy or extreme hauling. So that's an interesting spec choice. That said, I do use that tyre from time to time. And on the back, we've got the dynamics. See if I can show those off. Not really easily here, but they are also they look like they're mud and snow tyres. I am not making much progress towards 65 here. I'm going to keep it pegged, keep the cruise at 65, but we may just concede and go back to the 75. I'm not going to try and do, sorry, 55. I'm not going to try and do 75. Actually, it's a World of Trucks trip. I can't. My governor is 65 anyway. I wouldn't want to put the engine through many more revs. That's just going to kill efficiency or economy. Let's face it, with nearly 80,000 pounds of crane on the back of it's going to be a chunky trailer. This thing is already not exactly going to be a mileage champion. It'll be good for what we're doing, but I'm not going to see 5 to the gallon here. I might see 5, but I doubt it. Almost 65. Doesn't help me, David. Come on. Try it again. Yeah, almost at 65. My trip mileage is 5, but it's 5 miles per gallon accelerating at this speed in gear. Yeah, okay. My water's still it's running cool, but it's a change that they implemented in the game. It's still not at 65. Oh, we might be reaching it. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think we are. Eventually. I'm going to put my lights to secondary. I'll keep the cruise at 65. I do want to get there today. What we should find with this engine is as soon as we sort of start to cruise, and if I back off the cruise and put it to 55, it'll sip diesel relative to some of the bigger engines. It does do very well on the sort of gentler trips without a massive cargo. We're not really doing that kind of trip today. That's okay. Right, well the speed drops to 60 anyway. Oh, that's right, I've got a retarder in this transmission. I'm going to just put the cruise at 55 and just be done with it. Okay, never mind. Drops to 50. I'm going to get actually on the service brake now and the engine brake. Go. I know a phone ringing somewhere, but it's not mine. Yay. Hopefully that might just pick that up. Oh, that's right. I'm actually not in an automated gearbox, David. You need to change down, you numpty. Excuse me, well, as I was showing, it's nice and tractable. How long has it been since you've driven a manual? I guess long enough. Right, why are you leaving a big gap here? Oh, I know why. Okay, I'm not going to worry about too much about that. Right, now that we are not so foolish with our gearing when we slow down, I'm actually changing down. That helps. What's going on here? Is this some kind of weird deal going on here? I don't know what he's selling, but she doesn't seem to be interested in it. Body language is very, very, very negative there. That's moving off in low, which is kind of second gear, I suppose you might think. So I didn't use the very bottom of the gearbox. Didn't really feel the need there. In fact, I didn't at all. It's a tractable engine. In all seriousness, yes, I foolishly didn't shift down from top gear, but it is a tractable engine. It's happy to pull at these sorts of engine speed. 1200 revs, there, no problem. If it can pull it, it'll do so. If it's not got enough torque to hold the load, yeah, you're in too high gear. I went to green. I'm going to go ahead and just move out the left lane here. Just in case this traffic holds me up. I don't think it will though. No. Okay. My cruise on at 50. And I'm going to pull in now because I don't think I'm going anywhere. So I think probably about to merge, not merge. So to get the most from your X12E, or in fact your X12 performance and productivity, you really want to keep it between sort of 1,000 to 1,200 revs if you can. This gearbox doesn't let me do that. It absolutely doesn't let me go anywhere near doing that, because 55 means 1,300 revs in top gear. So if I'm going to do at least 55, which I generally am, you need to just be accepting you're going to be doing more than 1,200 revs. Now, if you have a taller gearbox, let's say you're doing some line haul, and you do use an X12, yeah, you might want to use maybe a fewer, slightly more revs even, I should say, at higher speeds. But overall, the X12 is I like it. I would say it's an enjoyable engine. Yeah, it's not exactly the fastest thing on the blocks, but the efficiency range runs up to 455 horsepower, and that's 1,700 foot-pounds of torque, which for the most part is probably all you're ever really going to need. Yes, you always want more, but do you need it? The productivity ratings, and these are the 475 and the 500 horsepower ratings, they're more for the vocational market. So yes, you might justify one in this particular truck if you're going to be hauling loads up and down a mountain, but it's not a line haul spec. And if this were a true vocational truck, if it wasn't meant to be on the highway, you almost certainly would have shorter gearing on it, and maybe someone like a 411 as an overdrive, possibly. That is just because you're going to need all that gear grinding torque for when you are pulling that 120,000 pound log stacker halfway up a mountain and back. Get off the power. Not going to try and do anything clever by moving off in first. We're going to keep it in low. See how tractable this thing is. So it's actually moving. Yeah, I mean, that's really not much else to say there. It was happy enough just to pull away. Look at the construction work here. I like that. Anything coming? I don't think so. Oh, there might be someone coming. Let's go ahead and move it. And behind these vehicles here. Here we go. And I tap resume on my cruise to 55. The limit's currently 45, but I don't think we're going to be threatening that speed anytime soon. Actually, we might be. Oh, that's 30. There we go, 70. Yeah, you got a good shot of the Dynamics heavy-duty tyres there. It looks like the mud and snow tread pattern. Kind of a squat cargo for 77,500 pounds, I think. So that retarder does make a big difference to my braking effort. How effectively this thing slows down, especially with that whopping great big cargo on the back. And it pulled from 600 revs there. It makes a big difference being able to have just that extra braking effort. Right, so that is full power from about 1350 revs up to 1800, like so, and then shift up. And hit resume. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward just a little bit here, I think. There's not going to be that much to see right now. There's a few gradients, but nothing too massive, and hopefully not that much to see, so I will be back in a jiffy. Hey, welcome back. Well, we're about 40 miles out from my destination, maybe 35 now. Let's go ahead and just lift off the cruise completely here. And yeah, as I predicted, it's been a pretty eventful trip. There's not been that much going on. A couple of things that I was reminded of during the trip. One is that the X12's weakness, other than the lack of power, is the engine brake is a little weak, and that's not a design flaw or even a thing with the engine. It's just the smaller your engine, the smaller or the less effective your engine brake is. And so here I'm comparing the engine brake of a 12-litre engine with examples such as the X15, DD13 less so, but the DD15, there's simply less volume to brake with. So if you do manage to get up to some speed and then you have to turn off, which seems to happen with alarming regularity in ATS, more so ETS, when you come to that braking movement, yeah, if you've just using the engine brake, you're gonna find that you gotta just brake a little earlier or downshift sooner. It's not the end of the world, but you do notice it, especially with a heavy cargo coming down a hill. So that's about the only issue I can really criticize this whole combination with. Yes, it'd be nice if I had a bit more than 1350 foot-pounds of torque, but I chose that truck spec. Other than that, I mean, this has been a really easy trip. Yeah, there's nothing else I can really say. It's been very easy. It's nice to shift gear myself, although it's taken me a while to get used to it. But I mean, that's what it is. Really, with a heavy cargo, you end up using basically low all the way up to 8. I've not had to change down to a low, other than because I could. I've not had one of those nasty little hill starts that can happen. Right now, I'm going to just inch forward in first gear. We will stop here. We will follow what it says. I might just use low just because. Let's wait for this cop. Car. Yes. I don't know why I'm looking right. There's nothing there. Okay. That was a low up to first. I don't need to use every single gear, especially with the lower gears. It's a little harder to use to block shift, and by block shift I mean go from, say, first to third, simply because there aren't that many revs to play around with. You've maybe got 800 revs, 1000 revs to 1800, but that's if you really want to use every single rev. I'll say here I stopped a little too far back. Right. Go ahead and go. I guess this Mustang's not going to wait for me, but fair enough. Just going to go through every gear sequentially here, just because it's a bit of an uphill gradient there. There we go. So yeah, I managed to more or less time it so that I can change up and have about 1000 revs or just over 1000 revs in the next gear. And that is not a difficult thing to do. It does make, I guess, practice and just become familiar with it. Mileage-wise, well, it's showing just 4.6 on the trip computer, and that's not really terribly surprising, because I've had to work this engine really hard. I've not really cruised all that much. Yeah, there have been times when I've gone up to 55 and I've let it cruise for a bit, but mostly I've been constantly getting back up to the speed I want to be at. And really what I should do is, like here, I've just tapped cruise. We're going to just saunter along at 35. I don't need to be going any quicker here. I'm not really going to save any more time. I've got plenty of time anyway. Yeah. Right. This will be an interesting little entry point here, I think.
Biege nach
Will the
rechts
oil and
ab.
gas industry just make things difficult to get into? Oh, actually, no, it's not that bad. I'm being a bit dramatic, which surely not. Okay. Well, that was actually pretty fair enough. I shouldn't have complained. Here we are.
Demnächst links abbiegen. Biege nach links ab.
So I think hauling stuff around for the oil and gas industry, it's given me a bit of an idea as to a future range of videos that I might do. But I think ultimately just moving stuff around the oil and gas business, there's lots of different cargoes that you can take, there's lots of different weights and trips, anything from the sort of long hauls to the shorter hauls like this. And I dare say that the oil field industry, the oil and gas industry, is an interesting,
Es ist vorbei.
interesting scenes to go look at. Right, where should I place it? I guess we'll go ahead and do that. Let's drop it to low here, just because we can. And I'll sequentially go up to low here. I don't really need to, but I'm going to. Nice paint job. I think this is one of the ones you get through completing, well, I guess the Nebraska challenge. But it's the first time I've used it. It's certainly the first time I've shown it off. Well, another successful haul. So I don't think it's been particularly good in terms of numbers of mileage-wise, but big heavy cargo. Let's take a look. How well did we do? So 305 miles, okay, that's fair enough, and 68.6 gallons, so almost 69. That's about 4.5 to the gallon, which is pretty much what is it what I expected? I was hoping for a little bit more. Possibly I could have if I had a taller set of gearing, but I just didn't. Well, hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you have, you know exactly what to do, and if you didn't enjoy it, you also know what to do, and take care. I'll hopefully see you in the next one, and I'm going to take another run. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.